Hello, everyone. Matt Jacobowski here with another episode of My Side of the Fence. I'm excited to be joined by a mother, a community leader, a way too busy volunteer. And by the way, President and CEO of Bancroft, Toni Pergolin. Hi, Toni.
Good morning, Matt.
Toni, super excited to have you on here. You know, when I started in my career, I got to see you speak at different chamber events and other leadership type events, and always admired you and had the pleasure getting to know you over the years. So thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So of course. So as you know, the point of this show is to try and get, everyday folks more familiar with the fact that even the people in your corner office face very similar challenges, have similar adversity, and have to get through their day just like the rest of us. And I have a couple of traditions, and one of those is opening up with just a few rapid fire questions if you're ready.
I am ready.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is purple.
So I'm not supposed to ask follow-ups, but why purple?
It's a nice mixture of a couple colors. So it's not just like one primary. And I have a lot of it around me, and it calms me.
Beautiful. My alma mater was all purple, so I'm with you on that.
Okay.
What's your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday is Halloween.
It's coming up.
I know it is. I've always been I love to dress up, and as a young kid and in college, we were always the parties. And as a parent with young kids, I mean, it was such a big day for the kids. And now I love watching the little kids come to the door. So it's I feel like it's a whole cycle, and it's fun.
That's great. Great. So last question, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book, am I allowed to pick my own? Because my favorite book, of course, would be
I was hoping you were going to.
Too Important to Fail by Toni Pergolin.
Great. So we are going to, and just so everybody knows, we didn't exactly plan that. I didn't tell her I was going to ask that question, but I did plan to have this book here. And this is a book I've read, and I hope you all will, and we'll definitely touch on this today. But while it comes up, what inspired you amongst, you don't have a ton of free time, I would imagine, with all of your commitments, not just professionally, but personally. What inspired you to really want to write your story?
It actually took me a while to get there. It's a book about the turnaround that I led at Bancroft. And, when people would say to me, like, you really should write a book about that. I'd say, turnarounds happen all the time. I mean, this is not something new. Companies go through it all the time. But there was something a little different about my turnaround, in that it was really for an important mission. And it really gave me the opportunity to talk about nonprofits, because I think there's a lot of myths out there about nonprofits. People don't really understand the business model. People really, think that we just are handed money, and it's really not that hard of a job. And at the end of the day, what is the most important thing is that we are taking care of people. So it's like people's lives. And, we looked at closing, we looked at bankruptcy, we looked at all that. And all I kept thinking about is, where would these people go? So it just as I would tell people the story, they would say, there's really lessons in there. You should really write that. So I'm not a writer. And so it was definitely, a labor of love. I'm a much more number person than I am a word person, but with a lot of help, and I did get a lot of help. I got through it. And of course, I was really glad when it was done to be able to really share the story.
Yeah, I think it's funny you talk about the misconceptions in your industry. And I agree. Most people, they hear nonprofit and they think it's like a business plan, and they don't realize, you have staff in many states, and it's thousands of people, and you serve many thousands of people that are affecting and related to probably tens of thousands of people. And, you think of the size and scope of your business, and not only just the economic impact, but the social impact and all of the other things. Your industry is one of the biggest in the country and the world. So it is important for people to know that story, and to know that you guys aren't just handed checks and bailed out all the time. You have to make ends meet. You got to get people paid. You have to be competitive and get the best of the best, because what a lot of people don't realize about human and social services is we task you guys to solve the problems that have existed for many, many decades, and will probably continue to challenge us for many decades. So I'm glad you did get this in writing.
Very well said, Matt. You really do have a handle on the industry.
Yeah, thank you. So, one other thing that I love about you is your roots in Pittsburgh. You know that my wife is from there, and I'll be heading out there tomorrow for a little family weekend. And I always say people from Western PA are always super nice and kind. And maybe it's because I've been a Jersey and Philly boy my whole life, so it's easy competition. But there's something, you probably don't remember this, but years ago, when I was fresh in my career, I was at an event with you. We were having a conversation with somebody, and they were kind of complaining in a way. They were talking how the world's in disruption and it's so difficult to manage every day. And you were nicely nodding, and they walked away, and you turned to me and you said something that has stuck with me ever since. You said, Matt, the world will always be in disruption. You said, and the best of the best don't let it bog them down. They find ways to overcome it and get ahead of it. So I'm sure that those wise words weren't just made up that day. I'm sure it's something that you live every day. Can you kind of talk about that theory and how you do try and implement that each day?
Yeah, so I don't remember that, but I can relate to the comment. So I'm not surprised I said it. I mean, I've been at Bancroft now for 17 years, and I've led through many, many challenges. And there's really never a time when everything is working well. I mean, there just isn't. And it's funny how many years ago, whatever that guy was complaining about, I could just imagine what he's complaining about now, because the world really is in disruption now, right? But you as especially as a leader, I feel like people look at us, and whether you're the leader of an organization, you're the leader of your department, you're the leader of your team, right? People look to you to get you through the challenges. That's our job in our staff's minds, in our customers' minds. Like, anybody can do it when it's easy, right? But it really never is. There's always something. And if you're really looking for, I'm just going to wait till everything's, nice and easy and stable. I mean, that's really never going to happen. And so I think understanding that and going into it with, what, I'm gonna get through this. And, we don't get it right every time. And we'll talk about how we get through those things. And that's why you build teams and all those things as leaders. But, it's our job to lead through the challenge after challenge after challenge.
Yeah. So with that said, I think all people have days where they wake up or they go to bed at night and they're like, they just want to throw in the towel and be done. And they're frustrated. Talk to me about maybe moments you've had there, and what do you do personally to get past that so you can continue to be that leader?
So of course I've had those days, and more recent than not. I mean, I think this last year and a half has really, kind of turned all of us leaders upside down, because, all the things that the toolboxes we've had before to get through challenges have not really served us well through pandemics and social injustice and vaccines and all this other thing, workforce shortage. So we're of course in challenging times, but that's just of today. There will be more to come. I think that the way you get through it is down to your purpose, right? Like what is really the purpose that we're here? And at Bancroft, it's pretty easy to remind yourself of the purpose. And, I come to work every day with 3,000 staff members who are amazing. I mean, the work they do here is a labor of love. You have to be compassionate. You have to truly, truly want to be a direct care person for a child with autism or an adult with autism. But, I think the part that gets you the most is when you interact with the individuals we serve. I mean, we have one program, we serve children and adults, and we have one program that's kind of the over 55, so it's like the retired guys. And, some of those individuals have been at Bancroft for 40, 50 years. I mean, this is their family. This is what they know. This is, their life. And you walk in there, they are so happy to see you. They just want to sit you down and tell you about their day. And you think, you know what? If an individual with autism can have a great day because of the work I'm doing, then I'm going to keep doing it, right? I'm going to keep doing it. So the individuals we serve keep me going. Families keep me going. I mean, families, you know, they have tough lives. They really, really do. And they look at me with such gratitude for the work that I do and the leadership I provide, so that their child, their brother, their sister, their family member can live a happy life. And they see that. So I would say it's the mission at the end of the day that keeps you going.
That's awesome. And you, several times in that response, you talked about your team and your colleagues and the people that you engage with. What people, when they read your book, they'll realize that you're a numbers person, you're a finance person. And, another thing that has always surprised me about you loving numbers is a lot of people would perceive a numbers person is not good with people and doesn't like people, but you don't possess either of those qualities. So can you talk about how you became different from the norm growing up in the finance world?
That's funny. I am a numbers person through and through. So first thing I do every day is look at my numbers, my P&Ls, my mission numbers, whatever it is. Gives me a quick read on what's happening in the organization today, just through the numbers. But you realize pretty quickly, especially as a leader, that you do need to be a people person. I mean, nobody can do these jobs by themselves. And, I enjoy people, one of the things, I hear is that, people, really enjoy the fact that, I can walk down the hall and I know your name and I know your kids' names and I wonder how what's going on. And I'm not like trying to memorize that so that I can, look like I care. I really do. Like, I really care about people and fascinated by people. But as a leader, I think what you really, really need to know is that, you need to be a person. You need to be able to relate to your team. They need to see you as somebody they can come to for help or to give you feedback. You need people around you. And without a doubt, nobody can do these jobs alone. You know what you know and you know what you don't know. And you need people around you to help all the other parts. I mean, it takes much more than finance to run a human services company. And so I have an amazing team around me, which is why we're able to do what we do every day.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about, the pride you have when you look at some other very impactful, meaningful nonprofits in the greater Philadelphia area, from universities to other human services to foundations and everything in between? You can see a lot of the people at some point crossed paths with Bancroft and worked with you. What about your culture has really encouraged people to want to grow and take that leap of faith to get into a role like yours?
That's a great question. Before I get to Bancroft, I worked for the University of Pennsylvania Health System. So I really grew up in healthcare and learned a lot in healthcare, learned a lot at Penn, met a lot of great people, and a lot of great mentors. And when it was time to leave, I felt like I took all that great knowledge and brought it to, a much smaller company that needed that knowledge. And, when I started at Bancroft, I saw pretty quickly the value that I brought because of the experience that I had had before I arrived. And I tell that story often as I recruit people. I say, I really my whole team, it's hard to make a decision to leave a job that you're in, you've been in for a while, you're comfortable, you know everybody, you're making this leap, and into this nonprofit human services. You're not really sure, you don't really know it all that well, and what I tell people all the time is that within the first few days, you will know instantly that you're making a difference. Like you will feel it. You will feel that. And it's things that you do every day in your job now that we need. We're looking for, I like to hire from the outside because we learn so much about what other companies are doing. And I'm looking for people to bring that into us and really move that forward. And I allow it. I mean, I'm hungry for it. I want people to come in and I want them to make it theirs. And every time, people come back to me and say, you were right. Like you were right. Like I feel that I make a difference every day. And I think if you're looking for that in your career, I mean, a nonprofit is always a great option.
Yeah, great, great. And one of the chapters in your book is titled United Team. And, I think about, I'll use the word chaos, which you can throw that around a lot these days. But when you look at your book and the world now and things that your industry has faced over the last decade, chaos is a way you can describe some of those things. But you also faced some of these things while your sons were at an age where they were probably playing sports and in clubs and this, that, and the other. Your husband has a career of his own, and you have to be a mother. And I look at some of your experience from board perspectives, right, with some other very powerful organizations in the area. How did you do it through all those years, and then how do you continue to do it and still have that drive to get out there?
It's funny when you look back. Actually, I look at young mothers now and I think like, oh my gosh, how do you guys do that? I think when you're in it, you're in it, and you don't even think twice about it. I was also always asked about how I was able to balance kind of work and life. And I don't really think you balance it. There's never a really 50-50. But I have to say, I look back at those years and I always felt comfortable that I was able to be where I needed to be. So when there was a big event at my kid's school or my kids' sports or whatever, I was there. I could be there and I wanted to be there. And when I needed to be at work, I could be at work. So I had help at home. So I always felt like if the boys were in good hands, then I could really be at work. And if work was in good hands, then I could really be at home. And so it's just really setting that up and just really being true to yourself on where are you needed right now for you and for your work and for your kids. So I think that's how you get through it. I'm proud at how my boys have grown and are now in the work life themselves. And they certainly grew up with parents who were very dedicated to their work and had integrity through it, and they're really doing the same. So that's great. And how do you keep at it today? It's the next challenge. And it's just keeping challenged and moving your organization forward, and just always feeling like you're making a difference.
Yeah, that energy and drive is important, right? And it's something that you bring every day. So I have a couple standard questions I like to ask in this, right? Because I want, again, people to understand that just because you have the title you do, it doesn't make you much different. It just makes maybe some of your day-to-day tasks different. So when you are looking at partners, vendors, people you want to hire for key positions, what is your thought process? What are the things that you prioritize when you make those decisions for Toni and for Bancroft?
So it's a good question, Matt. So as I said, I've been here 17 years and I've learned a lot about people I've hired over the years, vendors, partners, people from my team. Some work out really well and some don't. And, and I'm fine with that. Actually, I feel like, no matter who we have, they've always moved us forward in some way. They've taught us something. Even if it's not the long-term fix, it's allowing yourself to always learn something from people that you work with. But when I think about the ones that really worked, the organization is very complex. So, we're a school, we're a residential, we're healthcare, we're this, we're that, we're brain injury, we're autism. And so we're very complex. And it takes a while for people to really understand that. And I know it, but they don't, right? So when you're coming into an organization like us, you think you've done it. I've worked with people like you. You're like, okay, but I'm telling you, you haven't, but that's okay. And it's allowing them the learning curve and really, wanting to be a part of us. But we need partners that also will allow themselves the learning curve. I mean, thinking you're coming in and like fixing everything overnight, it's a bad start. So it's allowing yourself to say, I know I can bring, experience or expertise or a skill set that you need, but allowing yourself the time for the learning curve. And at the end of the day, and I'm sure this is a theme across everybody you talk to, we're looking for partners, like people who are going to work through challenges with us, because it never goes extremely, smooth, never. And so knowing that, and I know that, I'm fine with it, right? So it's just work with us through it. And once I get a partner that I trust more than anything, I'm committed to that partner, because I want to trust. I don't want to have to be, in the details of things, because I don't trust that you're doing it right. So being a trusted partner and really being open to the learning curve of any organization, the culture of the organization, how we work, and is I think is really key. It is really key. I mean, we're all looking for partners, people who will work with us, not just, want to come in and be done with it.
Great, great. So my last question, what do you want your legacy to be? So years from now, when it's all said and done, and hopefully you're sitting on a beach with your feet up, what do you want the legacy of Toni to be?
So, I don't want people to, think of me as, or because of what I did, she turned an organization around, she built a new school, like that. That's not what I want. I want people to remember me because how I made them feel. So, you met me. I was interested in you. I cared about you, right? The people that we serve, I care about them. My staff, I care about them. My family, my friends, I cared about them. Like, I want people to remember me because of how I made them feel rather than what I did. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's special. So I wanted to end with this. So I told you this before we started about your book. So I read this literally the week that whatever the phrase is, the pandemic started. I was on a flight coming back when all the world was being shut down. And I want to challenge you on one thing, because it says leadership lessons for nonprofits. And I know that's your target audience, but there's a lot in here for any person in business or life, right? And I think this last year really uncovered it. And I think it's a great time for people to read this book, because everybody feels challenged, whether it's the workforce issue or work-life balance or Zoom fatigue, whatever the new cool phrase is, right? But this is a great book for people of all industries. So
thank you.
Thank you. So if you could just give, one little plug or one little thing of inspiration to people that right now they feel down, they feel overwhelmed, they want to just give up, they don't want to go back to work or face these challenges, what would that be?
My whole, drive through the challenges that I wrote about in the book was really my belief that the organization really was too important to fail. I mean, I really believe that. And I really felt, people said all the time, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? And I really felt personally responsible for the staff, the families, the individuals we serve. And so as leaders, I would encourage you that people are looking to you. They're looking to you. They'll follow you. They want to help you through it. I don't think anybody's looking for us to do it on our own. They want to help you through it, but they're looking for a leader. And so do that, because they too are too important to fail. I feel that really, you're right, not just nonprofits, of all the work we do, we wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't important. And so, be the leader that your team is looking for. They're going to be there for you.
Well, thank you. I think that's a great way to finish. And I know if people watch this, they will feel good and inspired and hopefully energized to take on the challenges of their day. So thanks so much for setting aside some time
Thank
to
you,
do
Matt.
this.
This was great. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right, Tony. Thank you.